3, 2, 1. Welcome to Love Machine.
So for the past few months, I've been trying to get back on track with fitness. One of the major things I built my box truck to accommodate. And a huge part of the fitness program I was looking to build included indoor cycling when outdoor cycling wasn't possible. Something people told me I was kind of foolish when I had my van. Just bike outdoors and add a bike rack, they said. But it's one thing to have a bike on a bike rack, to take your bike outside and then take it back to your sticks and bricks house and store it. Another to live full-time in a van with a bike always exposed on your back rack to weather, criminal elements, and everything else. Not to mention, a bike rack or any rack extends the length of any vehicle, and quite frankly, adds an annoyance to navigating tight parking lots and parking in and of itself. I realize this is ironic, considering I now have something as large as a box truck. Another thing a lot of people suggested while I was in the process of flipping vehicles was the gym. But here's the thing, I hate the gym. I've tried it over and over again, and I have no particular aversion to exercise as a whole, but the gym, not really a place I like. And I know a bunch of people think it's because I'm fat and it's intimidating to be in a gym with a fat body. And maybe this is partially true, but what I mostly hated was going in with a specific plan and then not being able to access the equipment in the order I drew up in my plan. If I could afford it, I don't think I would have minded exercise classes on a regular basis, but the random whoever gets there first of the gym exercise equipment just never worked for me. It just frustrated me and discouraged me, along with the actual act of making time to physically go to the gym every day. So I started working out with videos in public parks. As for the cycling part, I thought I'd conquer concerns of always having a bike outside on a rack by getting a folding bike I could put inside the van. But ultimately, I ended up not using the folding bike much because it was such a pain to take out of the van. It stored just fine, but it was kind of annoying to actually dig out for use, let alone use daily under any and all conditions. While cycling outside for pleasure is fun under the right conditions, but I found cycling for pleasure outside is actually harder to accomplish on a regular basis than just setting up an exercise video indoors and doing it every day. For an actual focused workout that wasn't just some random ride I did for fun, I found indoor cycling was way more effective than dragging my bike outside every day. However, the journey to make this setup work had a lot more moving parts than I realized. So I sold both my van and my folding bike to separate people, and I bought a box truck and purchased a standard bike from Target, namely a Husky women's bike for around $150. I wasn't picky, I got what was affordable and on sale. Then I set out to build my setup, which I knew needed one major piece of equipment, a thing called a bike trainer. Many people have never heard of a bike trainer, but it basically allows you to transform an outdoor bike into an indoor bike. There are a lot of training reasons to do this. Some professional cyclists, for example, might want to train on a very expensive bike they already own so that they aren't trying to transfer riding skills on an exercise bike to a completely different type of bike. And the less professional reason, the reason I do it, is limited space. This allows me to own a road bike for recreational riding when I want to, while also having an exercise bike that I can hang on the wall and use indoors whenever I want to do a focused workout. And for a long time, that was all the equipment I had, besides adding a cushion to the seat for my rather large rear end. Honestly, the seat cushion didn't help the uncomfortable, narrow seat that came with the bike, and it honestly was a problem I would have to solve later.
Keep being the amazing butt kicker that you are.
Welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Kaylee, and I am a certified spin instructor and NASM personal trainer, and I am so excited that we can work out together today.
After purchasing my bike and my bike trainer and the long process of actually building out the box truck, I now needed some sort of virtual spin class. And I did consider paying for the Peloton app, which is like $12.99 a month. But before I spent money, I decided to dive into what YouTube might offer for free. And I found Kaylee Cohen cycling spin classes on YouTube, and I've never looked back. I'll be doing some reviews on the spin classes I use and have been using, but we're going to focus on my bike setup in this video. When I was just trying to get started again with weekly cycling about 3 times a week, it seemed I had created a nice little setup for the price of just a bike trainer and a bike, combined with that free YouTube spin class. But I quickly found there were some limitations to that indoor cycling regimen, as by not really using an actual exercise bike, I'm not getting any data. I didn't know how fast I was going, how far I was going, if I was improving in any way. I could only chart my progress as workout done or workout not done. I could track it as cardio on my fitness watch, and by switching speeds on the handlebars, I could feel an increase or decrease in the resistance on the bike, even on a simple bike trainer. But I wanted more. I wanted a way to track miles accomplished per workout and some measure of my speed so that I could see if I was improving or not. And that's when I started looking into biking computers that could be added to a road bike. Now, some people think I shouldn't use so much tech in my workout routine and just focus on how I feel. But honestly, having measurable data of progress makes me more motivated than just feeling it out. That being said, I found most biking computers were great for biking outside, but not really adaptable to work well indoors. For example, my first attempt at tracking was a very cheap biking computer where the sensor was intended for the front wheel, and I tried to affix it to the back wheel instead, since in my specific bike trainer setup, the front wheel never turns when I'm using it. And not only did that cheap biking computer break very easily, it just didn't work when I swapped wheels. So then I discovered that speed and cadence sensors existed. Namely, I discovered the Wahoo speed and cadence sensor. The speed sensor can attach to the back wheel, and the cadence sensor attaches to the pedal. The speed sensor can actually attach to either wheel, but because my back wheel is the only thing that turns when I'm indoors, I attached it to the back wheel. It seemed the perfect add-on for the data I wanted for my workout. Now, these are Bluetooth and ANT Plus sensors, and I had no idea what ANT Plus even meant. But basically, it's a wireless technology that allows your monitoring devices to talk to each other. And it turned out to be very important in syncing up my sensors with my Garmin fitness watch, which turned into a whole thing way harder than I thought it was going to be. Actually, it was kind of easy. I just went the wrong direction first and had to make a turnaround to figure it out. I found out a bit too late that Garmin had their own speed and cadence sensors, which are actually cheaper and would have made everything easier. And that's not to say actually using the sensors was hard. I was just hardcore Garmin user before this when it came to fitness tracking equipment. As they are Wahoo sensors, I initially just downloaded the Wahoo app to my iPhone and I synced the sensors with the iPhone Wahoo app, which was actually super easy. And it gave me the biking computer I was seeking, but I really also wanted to be able to track it in Garmin where I was tracking all of my other workouts. And I couldn't get it to work with my Garmin Connect app, which for a while left me tracking my rides outside of Garmin Connect, which was annoying to me because I wanted everything in the same place. I later figured out it would never sync with the Garmin Connect app, and what I actually needed to sync it with was my watch. And during the workout, it would gather all the information, including my heart rate, and send that out to the Garmin Connect app when the workout was over. So now when I start a workout, I both activate an indoor biking routine on the watch and I activate a workout on the Wahoo app. By putting the phone on the front of my bike, I can now see a visual biking computer as I'm doing the workout, and at the same time, my fitness watch is tracking. So they can both track from the sensors at the same time. The only hole in this whole setup is that the visual Wahoo app that I have up while I'm doing the workout cannot track my heart rate. For some reason, it just won't pick it up from the Garmin watch, even when it says it's synced. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter much. However, if you do decide to get the Wahoo sensors and getting the heart rate is very important to you, you can invest in a Wahoo heart rate sensor, either to go around your chest or to go on your wrists. It was really good to finally have some measure of if I was improving over my past workouts or not. And some days are more of a struggle. Some days I am just going through the motions, which is okay. I recognize getting a workout in is better than not doing anything at all, but I also can't kid myself when the data shows that I'm going a little lighter on myself than I did the previous day. Now, I have added some other gear since. Early on, I was using my work gloves as workout gloves, but I ended up buying actual cycling gloves as they do add a bit of comfort when I am in contact with the handlebars. I also finally just changed the entire seat on the bike. The original seat was just too small, even with a cushion. So I just bought a bigger, wider, more comfortable seat for my big, wide bottom. I also went through a couple of versions of cell phone holders, and I found the ones with a rubber band type grip tend to hold onto my phones a little bit better than side grip ones. Now, I personally have two phones. I have them so that I have two phones on two different networks so that if one phone fails me, I have the other phone as a backup, and it's a safety thing for me. But if you're doing a similar setup in the house, you don't have to. You could have your workout routine on a TV, on a tablet, on something besides a second phone, if you also want your phone to be displaying the Wahoo app. So there's a couple of mix and match different ways you can kind of imitate what you would get on a Peloton without spending Peloton money and just doing it with cell phone holders, tablet holders, or even your TV. Another item that has been essential are my foam interconnecting exercise mats. I set up about 4 under the bike. It keeps the bike from sliding around on the floor, makes it more stable, and also keeps the bike from putting direct pressure on my floor. If you want to throw in numbers on some other costs, my biking gloves were around $14. My Home Depot hook was about $7, and that hasn't failed the bike since I installed it. And I have an air compressor that cost me around $30 that I use for my tires and would own anyway for my truck tires in an emergency. And oh yeah, I have a bike helmet for when I actually bike outside, which at this point is rarely. I just haven't been in the environment for it. A Peloton bike runs around $1,500 to $2,000. And while I am sure there are things about that setup that blows my setup out of the water, I don't even know that those are things I need. And the great thing about my setup is not only is it cheaper than a Peloton, it breaks down enough to fit in what is essentially a custom RV. And all of it has been worth every penny. It has helped me reach the goal I set out with in buying the box truck, creating a space where indoor exercise is possible no matter where I am parked. Getting outside to bike is great, but there are times where it's just not possible. And in the case of my life, it's been most of the time. I would really have to go out of my way to get outside on a bike 3 times a week. But by creating this indoor biking setup, more often than not, I can get that 3 days a week of a workout in. So, what do you think of my setup? Also, if you have any questions about my gear or have suggestions for me or recommended spin instructors on YouTube, feel free to leave those in the comments. Thank you for joining me for another video. By the way, this video is kind of a soft official return of my fitness journey to the DawnofVanlife channel. I am going to be handling it in a different way than I did before, and I'm still sorting out what that is. For a while, I thought moving all of my fitness journey stuff to a second channel was smart, but I bought the box truck and dedicated time to building it out to support my fitness journey. And this fitness journey is integral to how I live in the van. So I've decided this content is important to have on this channel. So while I felt pressured to remove what some thought wasn't van life content, I realized I was giving into something really stupid. So it's back, just in a new form, and I hope all you guys are along for the ride. So now YouTube business. Like many people, I am a slave to the YouTube algorithm, and it really likes when you hit that like button and leave comments and subscribe to the channel. So if you can do any or all of those things, I totally appreciate it. Otherwise, I'd like to send a special thank you, as always, to my supporters on Patreon and YouTube memberships. See you in the next video.